And gentlemen, I'm Panda, and I had to remake this video over because I am not in. I got 103 fever. I also got my right eye that's just constantly in pain, and it's leaking out water a lot. So I apologize if I'm under the weather today, but we need to talk about the Moza Aircross 2 gimbal after 2.5 years of using it, and it caught fire this morning. So with that said, everyone, disclaimer: not sponsored by Goodzin, Moza Air, or Goodzin. That's who they are. Not sponsored by them, but I purchased this with my own money at Amazon in 2022. So with that said, everyone, the problem with this gimbal was the calibration. I had to calibrate it every single time during the day. So let's say I have the same setup as you can see before you now, and I do apologize, but let's say you had the same setup and you were using it and you turned off the gimbal and you turn on the gimbal later on and you notice that the gimbal is not calibrated. You start to notice that it's doing this, and every time you have to, if it's doing this, you have to recalibrate it. You have to recalibrate the gyroscope every single time. You have to recalibrate the gimbal every single time. And that was one of my problems with this gimbal, everyone. So right off the bat, disclaimer, I'm going to start off with the cons, okay? So you have a better understanding how I was using this gimbal for social media, press work, media work, and just B-roll filmmaking. Right now, this gimbal is not working. As you can see, I took the battery out, and I'm going to show you that it's not turning on, as you can see, and the power button, it doesn't want to turn on. So the gimbal here, you see what the joystick is located here? Well, that just caught fire, and the smoke came out of that joystick area here. The battery is here. I expect the smoke to come from the battery from the bottom, but the smoke came from here. Mr. Omar. So with that said, everyone, I do not have a gimbal because the gimbal just caught fire. Mind you, there's no water damage. It wasn't in the rain. I didn't use it yesterday. I used it a few days ago to set this up and put it in the wagon and had it covered. So with that said, everyone, another problem that I had was the power button. And I want you guys to take a good look at my custom power button. For some reason, one day, last year, the power button suddenly disappeared. It came out, I don't know if it popped out or not, but Moza Air, I want to disclaim something here, that no power button should disappear for no reason. This should have been like either glued on or whatever it may have been welded on, but it was plastic, everyone, so I had to customize, make a power button, as you can see. Here's another problem I had with the Moza Aircross 2. It's the threads on the bottom. The threads on the bottom of the gimbal. There is a 1/4 and a 3/8. The 3/8 just became unthreaded. Over time, if you thread something metal on plastic threads, the teeth on the threads on the gimbal start to eat up and you can never screw anything in. So I made it permanently by sticking a 3/8 adapter thread inside of it by adding crazy glue so it can stay permanently. So I can use L brackets like this all the time. But that was one of my problems with this gimbal. Even the thread up here just gets very unthreaded and loose. So take it with a grain of salt. Now, here's another problem I'm having with this gimbal, everybody. When I am currently using it, I notice that the gimbal will become unstable sometimes and reset itself or go into sleep mode. Yeah, it does that from time to time. So within the last 2.5 years, since May of 2022 owning this, it just became very unstable. Another problem I'm having is with this. This is the iFocus M for Moza. This never became usable. I used it a few times, and then after the few times I used it, it started malfunctioning. It just keeps spinning. So if I plug this in this gimbal right now, it would just continue to spin. There's no way of stopping it. I even firmware backlogged it, which means I went back a firmware to see if it fixed the problem, and it didn't fix the problem. It made the problem worse. So when I update the firmware on it again, it still malfunctioned. So I wasn't able to use this for my cinema lenses, because I use IRIX lenses. You guys know I use IRIX lenses for all of my cinema work. And this did not want to function after 6 months of even owning this. So this is probably the most disappointed hardware for Moza. Is the iFocus M. It didn't function correctly. And right now, if I was to power this on, using a USB plug right now, let me just, as you can see, the power's on. There's power. And this LED light comes on, right? But watch when I plug this into this and have this full, well, I can't do it now because the gimbal is dead. It caught fire. Smoke came out the joystick. Okay? Here's another problem with this gimbal. I don't like the L bracket system on here, because every time I put certain gear on this gimbal, and when I do put certain gear on this gimbal, everyone, it tells me that my right, wait, check this out. It tells me sometimes my R is unbalanced, my tilt is sometimes unbalanced. Yeah, it would say that sometimes, right? And then I'm saying to myself, but it is balanced. It's working. And this is where the sleep mode comes into play. So if I'm using it and it's saying that I need to adjust it and I can't adjust it anymore because there's a certain limit you can go. Look, for instance, I'm at the farthest point down on the L bracket on the gimbal, right? I'm at the lowest point on here, right? I can't go any lower than that. But it keeps telling me that I need to go lower to fix it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like the Aircross 2, after 2.5 years, 2 years, it was functional, but it had its quirks that it literally did not function the way I wanted it sometimes. And sometimes I've been spend most of my time, or mind you, when I want to get this ready, I have to spend at least 30 to an hour to set this up, because calibration once again comes into play. It tells me that it's not calibrated, and then I see this when it turns on, it tilts like this. So there's a big problem with the Moza Aircross 2 gimbal. 2, Moza Air, you should have responded to the email concerning problems about the battery. Now everyone's been talking about battery, and the reason why I shake this, it tells me that I have 2 bars. Okay, but ladies and gentlemen, these batteries are not that good. This is the second batteries that I purchased, mind you. And I was gonna, before I made this video, I was making this video live stream, then the audio wasn't on properly. But ladies and gentlemen, right now, as you can see, it said I had 2 batteries left, 2 bars. You know why it says I have 2 bars? Because one of the batteries is not functioning correctly. And this is a big problem with these batteries. And I thought Moza would have addressed the batteries from the very start, when people started complaining about the battery. See? It got 2 bars. But when I plug this in, it's going to say it's full. Because one of the batteries, there's 2, 18650 batteries in here? At 3.7 volts. Not very good batteries. They don't last very long. So if you do have this gimbal, everyone, I suggest picking another one up. But then again, these batteries are expensive. They still want $60 for these batteries. And Moza, I think you should not charge $60 for these batteries. I think these batteries should be $40 US, because these batteries don't last very long, friend. So with that said, let's talk about the good things. When I am using the gimbal and when it is functioning, everybody, it's amazing. I can pan, I can tilt, I can rotate freely. Not only that, I use the joystick quite often to pan left and right. But sometimes I don't even use the dials to lock in my tilt. I don't use the dials as much to lock in my tilt or my pan. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I use the dials to lock the pan or tilt, because when the gimbal becomes unstable, I can lock the tilt, so I won't have to deal with that, especially in the middle of a live stream. I noticed that the gimbal will tilt and become uncalibrated, so I will lock in the tilt or the pan. But with that said, everyone, let's continue to talk about the good things. The good things about it is that I'm able to hook up batteries and power banks like this to the system and continue to roll with this gimbal all day long. That's in most gimbals, right? But the issue is the good thing about it is that I can use it for DSLR, mirrorless, my cinema cameras. I can use it for anything I want to use this gimbal for. So, and it's flexible. As you can see, I got a 4-in-1 hub for power, for audio, and delivery data. So I can transfer data, I can do whatever I want with this hub, and I have everything set up the way it should be on this gimbal. But now the gimbal doesn't even want to turn on because it is dead, because it caught fire. As I said, there's been no water damage. And I have used this gimbal in the rain many times in the past to shoot my videos, and not a problem had occurred, because these are water gaskets, by the way. These are waterproofing gaskets. If you see these rubberized covers for the motors, well, this is to protect it from any heavy duty rain, you know. But this one doesn't have any protection, apparently. But with that said, everyone, now I don't use this in heavy rain. I used it maybe when I was walking down the street and then it started to light rain on me, and I would always go in a place where it's dry. So what is the problem with this gimbal, everybody? The problem with this gimbal is that it is if I was to rate this gimbal a 1 to 5, I rate it a 3, because every time I have to put the same camera on it, I have to keep calibrated. That's a problem. And mind you, it didn't come with weights. I had to buy these weights, and I think Moza should have added weights to the whole. Mind you, this is a pro setup kit, and I think it should have came with weights, but it didn't come with weights. I had to buy small rigs weights for it, because it was compatible for it. So with that said, everyone, I think Moza here did a good job on the gimbal, but they did a good job on firmware and software. I don't think they did a good job with this gimbal when it came down to the malfunctions for the battery, the eye focus motor malfunctioning. I think calibrating and then having it tilt after being calibrated and using it is a problem. So next time, well, they knew gimbals have better features and better motors, but I really wish this gimbal didn't die. It just died, and I just want to be transparent, everyone. Look, I'm pressing the power button, and there's no go. There's nothing. It may be the battery, but mind you, everyone, I've been with 2 bars for the last 3 months, and it's been turning on completely fine. So, with that said, smoke came out of the joystick area here. So maybe one of these components inside caught fire and smoked, and this is why there's nothing turning on, because it came from this area. It didn't come from the battery, it came from this area. It didn't come from the motor, it came from this area, the smoke. So with that said, everyone, I'm under the weather. I got a fever, everyone. So I have a fever of 103. Also, you want to see my eye? Look at my eye. It keeps tearing, kind of sensitive. So I'm just giving you guys transparency here. But I didn't want to make this video in here, but I had to come in here and do this video because, like, I'm just trying to use it outside. It's not bad outside, and it just didn't work. So with that said, everyone, would I recommend buying gimbals from Moza? Yes, I do recommend it. But do I recommend buying the Aircross 2? No. I don't want you to go through the same problems that I have gone through. So I don't recommend buying this gimbal. I recommend buying the newer gimbals with better software and better firmware updates and better calibration tools. With that said, everyone, I did use the mimic mode for this gimbal on my iPhone, so I can mimic my movement, and that was the coolest part about this gimbal. the mimic mode was pretty cool. So if I had this gimbal elsewhere and I'm somewhere else, I can literally use this phone's gyroscope to literally pan left and right and tilt with using the mimic mode on the app. But other than that, the app works pretty accurate. It tells you battery indicated life. It tells you how long you have. It also helps to calibrate this gimbal correctly, but does it do a good job calibrating the gimbal? No and yes. So it's a mixed bag. So with that said, everyone, it's been 2 years with this gimbal, and it finally just gave away. I never had a gimbal that died. I never had a gimbal that literally caught fire. And that's one of my concerns, Moza. Like, literally, no water damage whatsoever. And it started smoking right here. That means one of the components was fried. Just got totally red. So, I don't know what to say to everyone. I'm just kind of disappointed, but then again, like, I got my money's worth. I got 2.5 years of usage out of this gimbal. I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed that this should have lasted me 5 years, not 2. That's what I'm saying. Because listen, everyone, I got a tripod that I purchased with my own money. I had it for 4 years and never had a problem with it, right? But I get a Sony photo tripod and I have problems with them. Same thing with the product here. Tripod. I know I'm comparing a tripod versus a gimbal, which is probably idiotic, but think about it. That tripod costs the exact same amount of money as this gimbal, but that tripod doesn't have electronic components, but it lasts long. It's been out in mud, it's been out in rain, it's been in snow, it's been in hard situations, it's been roughed up. You have been roughed up, but you just died for no apparent reason. So the Moza Aircross 2, don't recommend it, but I do recommend the newer gimbals. But with that said, everyone, I'm Panda, and thank you for watching, and thank you for watching this long 2-year review, and the disappointed today that I no longer don't have a gimbal. So now I gotta save up money to buy a better gimbal, which is going to be painstakingly, because this gimbal cost me $300 US, and yes, $300 US, and it was still refurbished. Yeah, I bought a refurbished $300 gimbal with everything that came in the full professional kit. So with that said, everyone, this is my experience with the Moza Aircross 2 gimbals for the last 2.5 years. It's been good, but very disappointed that power button something just came off one day. The threads are not working properly. Now the power and the batteries issues, and got to replace the batteries, and the gyroscope issues. Yeah, I passed on the Moza Aircross 2 and recommend other gimbals. So with that said, everyone, thank you for watching. Talk to you guys in the next one. See ya. Fucking sick, man.